day and from morning to evening, light off. I did about 3 o'clock and almost and doom no. Nobody knows when I ever back. And it's so horrible. And maybe someone's a cramp on you. So you can imagine what others outside Accra go through. And the lack of disrespect I minister Kenya, at least just tell the people say this is what is wrong, at least. Yeah, taking up certain measures a bit mitigating these challenges, no. When your opportunity, I know I can't say no I find when the end of the day will be accountable. That is the state I am.
Hey, Asemo. Mami Musawe, and snake boss, ya pamono. Ya pamono no, ya ma osafo mafu, ne ba, ana eja, wababe director general masnet. Yet it is a document to be so wabonting, Agyapadie document to wait inheritance for the Nado Dankwe Akuffo Addo in the Bushia for document in Munoko Himua. Send ye a kind ye pepe say, ye be pamo boss no near ye or Safuma for Bano as director general. No, and they senka document near a BB and Quebec say a Bible, the sea woman, a sea, a winny penny so. A dear na walk afa a yes, snake bossa, ya pamonwa, a deal Safuma for ba ashat nanaim.
Yes, Dr. Red said no Mexicana ordinary abaya juma and you will be a Agyapadie. And tis a senate boss, our horna or ye juma. Nasa and Merebison, now Mompenica senka, own coffee, now be from Ra. Menyesho say one. Because since a president one mandate say at any point in time, be any poor bit me a discharge and a responsibility ama and it's what they who no minor pay abumno. Or Kenya at any point in time or the Jumadi Bishop in Sana and Nipano within the remit of the law, no. So one penny what kind sources Sunday year or to Mrs. Sano. But you see, I dear by a very interesting, I shocking, and I sir Agyapadie book and summer walking. There was a time I'm a brand TFL BOT at program. Now your now make a lot of references from Agyapadie book known as a for about Okan. Now I'm farmer dream for now them free so. Yes, I can't but at some point in time, I realized, and some now, all kind free book, Numina, as I say, ACC, Marco, and at some point in time, no, not many other options be than to believe, say, and some now, a book, my buy a man for fun, a trace, a Agyapadie book, a propaganda, and some kind of mischief, and a nipa bilma quatanasi, and a more cookie, just to make government look bad, you know. I can sit here and tell you, say, almost name ACC, you know, from a Agyapadie deal to in some way. And you see, they are very interesting about this Osafo deal. You say, in the book, his name was mentioned in the book. And this book was written about 6 years ago. I walk out, so a could baby, none seminar book, no, Marco, then lend some credence to the already existing notion out there. Say a agenda, yes, say, ya de ba, abe take your minor state capture na ye cano a strategic way, yeah, just to capture the state. And a give less room for Obi Obaka say, oh, a normal reserve for another normal changes and a president no ama the boss now or ye in a free ho at the Obi Fufraba and line na air corner. And not the same family and friends because we live in a country where Ghana for SIC a lot of reservations about some of these appointments. I have to say yes. Or minor won't mean sister Abusunya back a moon crew for and staffy or more within your friends government or a numamu. Abra, there are other Ghanaians who are more qualified for same job, but because they are not related to the president in any way, no. And we are talking about the president that proud to his coming as president, you know, the mantra, I say, oh, meba, the then president, John Mahama, was practicing family and friends. And Akuffo Addo Jina platforms who be brave, so the moral, your friends are responsibility, so, abra when you're Kenya to become president, you know, people will be looking around to see, say, San Samna Okan about your predecessors or your family and friends, you know. Oba, what is the level of family and friends at Okwakwaya? And we can sit here and say that the number of personnel are related to president, either by your friends and blood, either by relation, either by marriage, either by friendship, either by party. You put you on various your friends position in this particular government. I can sit here and tell you, say there are so many. I know the day, go back to question that particular popular notion out there, proud to his assumption of office, family and friends in Onyebino. Then that is the question. So ordinary, there is a mechatros and Sanka president assistant Senate boss and Odu before Fraba. And Kenya summers here discuss no radio so because a normal trend as happen.
Yeah.
But because of these things, and now raise the eyebrow to the ordinary Ghanaian say ban saying and some that will book numno and not Osafoma for who has been hovering around for so long because it's a papa we yana catch Ghana you to say a buying any capacity to employ them. So we are sorry making sure that one can make create a juma for because the public sector is full. Okay, I need to be and I create space within the same Senate and I had a banner share or all corner. Now there were people more harder that are more much experience than honor. But then I could do a so I can't not quite a director general because of the family relationship here over with the president. And me free say it is not based on competence. It is not based on the fact to say he has a certain expertise or knowledge here or differently from the existing one. It is because this time is a rush hour. I buy no coffee. So this is the grand way I because they are with the notion say.
What's this time and day?
A rush hour. Because we have less than 10 months for buying it so coffee. So people are taking position over Kaya Asama Abrante we Kaya and Sana I'm going to say Samia Uku.
Yeah. Boys are
time be about a man for us say take a position. And I think that is exactly what is happening. But the level of disrespect, because we see because of the popular notion out there, and who gauge against public sentiment in some amount for in the past, and some of these appointments, you may do with good intention, you may do with the intention that the person coming on board, what the requisite skill set, the intelligence, the knowledge, the expertise, everything. But because of what has happened in the past, because of the fact to say this Aban way, is characterized by this family and friends kabana sabi occupy sensitive position. If you go ahead to appoint from the same pool of family, your friends and friends now, you only raffle that notion. Say papa we there can ye sane because asafuma for the mirror so yes okofie the president appointed him as an advisor, and since then he has been hovering around the corridors of power. There are several Ghanaians who far better than what he's doing because at the end of the day, the government now appointed as an advisor. The government today is a moribund government. It's a government that is heading for the crash, and there is nothing. We say advice via my president and I so superior and very intense to be any effect or any impact. So on the administration of this country, nothing. We are just filling spaces with friends and cronies at the end of the day, because it is a rush hour. You more position. And I think a idea show disrespect to Ghana, especially when the president is unable to explain to us what has occasioned this particular changes in the Nasafwa. You can't want to mean.
So, we share a year book anymore. A year the document, I will go through a year the content, And I got this book in 2018. It was part 1 and it was part 2. Now part 1 on my year and now you the banking cleanup exercise. Part 2 talks about a year a year in terms of our SNIT any insurance any alcohol. Now we take a year charge of it. Now I go to the content forward, we call a year book or say economic and financial sector control, and it talks about introduction, phase 1, phase 2, and then it comes to a year the banking, insurance, and capital financial sector control, banking, insurance, capital market, mining, oil and gas, industry, telecommunication. Now, oko point 2 more. So the political terrain, the party, Kennedy Japan, Samuel Ewuku, John Buedu, the Rollins factor, other a friend is saying minor parties. Now about phase 3, no, and it talks about religion and chieftaincy. It talks about Bishop Charles Ajin Asari. Now about some Crunchy Ankra, Pastor Mensa Otabil. Then it talks about the national chief imam. Then it comes to the national institution as regard to the media landscape. Ufriwa, let me read a little bit of the foreword. Emma Etiefo Enti, how important this book and scary it is to any Ghanaian. Because the Constitution of Ghana naturally say we need to defend Ghana with all our might and with all our power. And I read the foreword, or say, to our future made up of the present and the unborn, for whom this will, and the will is in quote, of a nation is being prepared, to our foremost kin of repenting, the progenies spread across this world, for whom and to whom alone this scared document is prepared. As for the heirs of Nana Apienim Kwaframwa, Nana Kuntum Kununku, the Oforipening, our people were never defeated in the wars of old. We were nobody's subject, and yet, after 1957, we were made to live in the shadows of the descendant of the people, who never defeated us in war, whilst the Asante kingdom was uplifted to put us in the shade. In relatively recent times, the struggles and works of J.B. Dankwa to restore Ochiman to its original glory were touted, but he fought bravely to the end. With the arrival of Nana, we see the rebirth of second J.B. Dankwa, who has come to the rescue, fully cognizant with that we were currently part of the modern nation of Ghana, the name of which was originally proposed by the illustrious son of Oforipenyi, Oforipenyi of Ochiman, J.B. Dankwa. And aware that it is currently made up of other diverse people, referring to Ghana, we have to assert our old selves and ensure that we no longer continue to live in the shadows of other kings and people whose forebears were defeated in wars. In spite of our tremendous contribution to this Ghana entity, Wachiman has not been credited with the appropriate awe and grandeur that we rightly deserve in recent times. Currently, with Nana in total control of the whole entity of Ghana. Now, Ghana is a commodity. We have a duty to ensure that we take over the commanding heights of the essential fabric of the country, in order that even in the event that Nana leaves the scene after the mandatory 8 years, the sons and daughters, and I repeat, the sons and daughters of Ochiman would be firmly secured and such control, both financially and economically, that we can no longer be ignored in the battle to control the destiny of Ghana. To achieve, we need to appropriate the fundamental economic financial levers, which would guarantee such control in years to come. In doing this, we need to be strategic. We would have to work with other people from some of the diverse ethnic groups, including some carefully selected people in Asante and other diverse ethnicities or lands. This would make them believe that they also have a hand in the pie. It would obscure any suspicion that the project of essentially an repaying project, suspicion that the project is essentially an repaying project. And we need to introduce it. We need to get people involved so that it doesn't seem like it is an repaying project. This point is crucial because with electoral politics, we have to have our eyes on the numbers in the electoral progress. We cannot be blatant until we are completely secure in the endeavor. It is especially so because so far the Asantes constitute the single most populous ethnic group in the country. Although the Asante group within the current MPP is gearing itself to take over the party after Nana's tenure in 2024, it will be ideal if we could work to bypass them in 2024. With hard work, we would work to pass the mantle over to the non-Akan person, preferably from the north, under whose presidency would secure the maturity of our takeover project. When we have finally captured the command and control sectors of the country for our private use, we would then be in a better position to wield the necessary political and economic muscle to manage the destiny of this country under the reign of the House of Oforipenyi. To be specific, we need to strengthen our efforts to control the mineral resources as well as the electricity and water institutions. The success of this project depends on the way in which we, for the time being, control the judiciary and the press. We conclude with a word of caution. Until we have secured the critical sectors under our control, we should minimize the dangers of obvious acts of individual corruption in order not to alienate the rest of the population. We must focus on the ultimate goal. We must seek first the economic and financial levers, and all others will follow eventually. Nana, Jay.
Dr. Ren, what's a book no kind say ya obi badwin say a new book. I read this book before 2020 and it was written before this party came to power.
Yes.
I am saying it, sir. I read this particular book long ago. A top politician been at the moment. I took a day to read. Now you to come, making sure say my kind book in a way and send my form. And when I read it, that not me free normal propaganda because in some they will know until say they started appearing one after the other. And you can ye obi badwin say and another book no. Let us one or can about say yeba bypass an Ashanti as a flag bearer of the MPP and, after Akuffo Addo.
Yes. And
the book stated categorically that they need to pass it over to somebody who is a non-Akan, preferably
a Nordner.
And today Baumia is there.
Yes.
I read the book before all these things happened. So you see, these are people who have strategically sat down and they have thought through whatever they are doing. They are strategic, they have planned, they have rehearsed it, and they are just executing. So everything that is happening under Akuffo Addo is an execution of a plan.
Yes.
A grand scheme that has been planned long ago. And they've been given power. Ghanaians have endorsed it. They've given them power to execute it. The main focus in this particular agenda I am securing the financial empire of this country and making sure, say, they control the finances of the financial sector of this country. And today, you and I know. So everything financial in this country is owned to them.
Exactly.
All the major players, Ghanaians in the banking sector, and all of them have been rendered poor. Kofi Amwabeng and Uhuna were needed by force.
This document came from the offices of Dr. Hindu. Emra collapsing the bank. And already they had given him a year. A friend is saying, I cannot go into details, but already they were telling him, say, this is what is going to happen. And he thought, he said, oh, they cannot do this to me because, come on, I have over 300 branches of a year GN Bank. Ghana for a woman, indigenous Ghanaians in a year. So how is somebody going to collapse my banks when I have over 300 branches across the nation? Over 2,000 permanent workers.
Yes. We see these are vicious criminals who are willing to do all that it takes to ensure that this particular agenda, that is why I keep telling people, so you see, when I listen to the argument, say, the MPP came to power and the NDC MPP are the same. I say that analogy, it doesn't make sense because at the Chroma, Yahoo NDC in the past, Yahoo MPP in the past. The way a manner is totally different from what these guys are doing. And I am telling you that this is a criminal gang. Ya hijack political party MPP. Ya di disabian some phone and some hunu. So the usual MPP the usual NDC MPP politics are any more Akuffo Rollins and the Mills and then as a forum that is not what is happening. This is a criminal gang. I am making sure that you are rehearsing the plan and we are taking over this country. We are making sure that we own everything by the time we leave this country. So the relationship between Akuffo Addo, these people, and the MPP is just like said Dr. Ren. Van. Van, what they are like 207. I sort of for Beje, Naya de Consciamu or North. Na Obia Babeji said, Mede Kofa sort of for Sano the Korean Pontin, I will see them. So it is the vehicle MPP that has been taken over by these people, and they are using it to commit this heist at this great extent. So Ghana for better the echo to Nasi. Now who said the echo to Ghana for Air Casano, and yes, a time and will be time will be by a the Yahoo and the Yenim and the echo. To them, everything happening is an execution planner. Yakrato because everybody sign a Obia True book. About 7 years ago, now I say Senate. Your friends saying, or Safuma for come and take over.
Yes.
And 7 years after that particular agenda, despite all that has happened, and you think it's a joke, somebody will write a book 7 years ago and I'll say, MPP, your friends say, I can't phone us antiphone no more Dawson. And let us devise a strategy to bypass them. And indeed, yes, and indeed, that plan has been executed. And you see, this is something that was taught over 7 years ago that has been written in a book. The only when it's a book got leaked.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the fact to say Niama Ewomno is happening. So if you want to understand why Ghana is in this mess, if you want to understand why our banking sector is going through the kind of problems that you go through, if you want to understand why Ghana is at the crossroad, the economic turmoil Ghana Namu and Neya, it is because nobody is running or leading this country, but to them it is an execution of a grand scheme. The ultimate aim is to ensure they secure the financial sector of this country, and even in opposition, because it was stated in the book, even in opposition, they can still call the shot from opposition because they control everything in this country. And with the parliaments, you know, go to Ochehene Krum, go and see. They started by building an ultra-modern, your friend is saying, palace for him. And other things on my year, I just don't want to mention. And then or back cast and then as a forum. So it is an agenda just to erase the status because they know that around there, or here, people don't respect him that much. And there is this competition. So there are different groups of Achim Kotoku, Achim and people think say exactly. And they will tell you, say, on time will be here because Omunina, they are the same level. But these people, through this book, sought to elevate his status by giving him certain financial power. And the man leave the others behind. And about financial power now, and we won't even find home to turn on. And it's exactly, it's a perfect plan that is in place.
92.4 FM.
So, the challenges the ordinary Ghanaian is going through today, the many Nema ye can wasem no emfa buying no huni nyina say omono they came with their plan and they are making sure say this plan is executed to perfection, and it's exactly what they are doing. They don't care what is happening to Ghanaians. They don't care whether there is a job or not. They don't care whether the BCBR no. The ultimate priority of this Akuffo Addo administration is to ensure say those diabolic schemes now weave into the book, you better make sure beyond that, and they don't care. It's the reason why the Becos to be okay, binding your energy so betty. And running a discussing issue be and running a discussing Ghanaian Times at the issue be by a global fund. For more than a draw over $40 million Abeka port for almost 1 year near antiretroviral drugs, tuberculosis drugs, and malaria drugs. These are essential drugs that on a daily basis people need it. Antiretroviral drugs are very expensive. Individual, you can't buy. So some of these global agencies complemented the effort of government by making sure say Omudi Beba Adrona Beka port for almost 1 year near because taxes are good to know. And they are saying that they can because they are not coming to sell the drugs. It's for free. It's for Ghanaians. So all the tax way goes for but President Akuffo Addo was bold enough to go to Parliament to tell parliamentarians say companies over 400. Yes, over 400 companies in the more tax exemptions. As you are granted the same tax exemption for Nakwanta Hotel OC. And then obi private hotel OC are the buyer business, you are granting a tax exemption over millions of dollars. But they are back to ensure that Ghana for Sabi Omonia Yare Ebenya Druno. Aka 1 year near and nobody cares. So the Uhuno, the Awabu Kunum no Chirao, and I explained the level of detachment at those in power with the people on the ground and why they don't see the sufferings Ghanaians are seeing. Why they don't care? Why Ghanaians? Because they came with a plan, they came with an agenda. And until that plan is executed to perfection, they will not stop at anything. Look at the way Amana you handle Alan to the extent that Alan has been exited from the party. And there are several account people within the MPP not through elections, no quite fast you bully or mono. They had no other option than to walk away. And today, where they wanted that particular power to go to, because Bawumia is their prodigy. They think that he's somebody that they can control. So when Bawumia is in power, he will only become an identity president, but the raw president will be the same as same mafia. So he will be known as president, but he will remain an identity president.
He will be a poodle to Akuffo Addo. He will be a poodle to Akuffo Addo.
Exactly. Say identity president, you don't perform any role, and also a man for will only identify you as president. But when it comes to role,
ceremonial,
you are important. Somebody is calling the shot from somewhere because who brought Bawumia to the MPP? It was Ken Oforiatta who convinced Akuffo Addo to bring him on board when he was not even a member of the MPP. But don't forget, Bawumia is coming from the NDC line.
Yes.
NDC from
at
some point in time. Okay.
The former finance minister, Ejawoye NDC ni. Ono ene kofa eye Owura Bawumia bae. Eye Dr. Dumsor.
Yes.
Na Dr. Dumsor omo be a Bank of Ghana with UK hano. And then he got to know of Bawumia. So of the Bawumia eba Ghana. Ena obema Bawumia beye ni aid that time. Ewo eye Bank of Ghana. So Bawumia was an aid to Dr. Dumsor. Enti emra wo free a buying change the buy, then Bawumia had to stay at Bank of Ghana. Now, the rise of Bawumia was that now say or make a decision, and this is where Bawumia is very smart. He is a smart. He's a smart dude. And now Eja, who joining the NPP party instead of the NDC, because he knew said the NPP Abano Sebiu he has a chance in the NPP, so he was able to meet women like Mami Buzia. And knowing Mami Buzia here in the United Kingdom, had a lot of conversation through it. And Mami Buzia introduced him Ken of Oriata. And Ken had to speak good about him to Nanado. And then Nanado had to speak good about him to Akuffo. That was why Akuffo was able to appoint him as a deputy governor of Bank of Ghana. And from there, we all know the story today. So who will be our Dr. Bawumia's son in Sabah there? It was Dr. Dufo and Odineba Ghana. What was?
Yes, and Dr. Aran, even I've spoken to somebody who said, even Abrana Professor Mills, Echo Wena when you're not running mate, the family members of Bawumia went to see Professor Mills in an attempt to convince him to pick him as his running mate. There is a report out there, you can check.
Yes, Emrana,
yes.
John Mahama Kase, Omoman America Cran, 1 million hono. And Omia so much and see a year Dr. Bawumia. Yes. Yay, Ghana, you, Ghana.